1 degree outside Weather Network Sunday update. Meteorologist Matt Noyes. Our storm has been coming together. Of course, I say our storm. The storm we've been watching, it really isn't ours, right? It's going to stay out over the ocean, but a really well-defined center, a very strong storm structure, and a large wind field. Now the red indicating gusts to over hurricane force in a big, broad area out over the water. The yellow, gusts to 40 or greater. Some of us getting into that when you get into southeastern parts of New England. As the ocean effect snow sprays into parts of the South Shore of Massachusetts and some light snow dances onto the Cape and the islands, follow it with our radar. You can always find the updated radar in our app, free and 5 stars on the App Store and Google Play. Just search for the number 1 degree outside weather, and you'll find it there. In terms of the radar forecast, look, that spray of ocean effect snow showers to the South Shore will start to peel away as we get to the middle and late afternoon. On the Cape, the light snow still filling in during the day on Sunday, turns around and goes the other way as we get into the late afternoon and evening. So you really don't end up with that much at all by the time all is said and done. The greatest chance of finding some accumulation would be on the order of an inch or two, would be from Chatham down to Nantucket. Notice as we get to the overnight tonight, all of us are going to be dry, and in fact, the wind is going to be kicking up for us during the day and then trying to come down a bit during the night. Again, these amounts might be a little underdone at Nantucket because you've got a little bit fluffier snow that comes down, so you may be able to get between 1 and 2. When you get to Chatham, same thing. You may be able to get between 1 and 2, although most of the Cape now, it looks like probably gets a coating to an inch of snow. And the other thing is with the wind blowing so much, it's almost impossible to measure it. This type of lighter consistency snow, it comes down lightly over the course of the day, and it blows all around. Because of the wind, you churn the waves, and with the waves and astronomically high tide, meaning that the full moon is with us, so you'd have a high tide level anyway, we get some minor coastal flooding in the typically vulnerable spots to a northeast and then northerly wind. That's for the high tides today and tomorrow. We think the overnight tide tonight, it's just not as high by the moon anyway, so chances are good you don't get much in the way of flooding during the overnight, although Nantucket's vulnerable at all 3 high tide cycles, may be able to tickle moderate, but probably is going to be minor for you as well. And the other thing is the plowed snowbanks actually can help. They can act like a berm to keep the water at bay. The other thing is if the water does come in, then obviously that keeps it from draining out. But we think for a lot of spots, it's probably going to help things out rather than hurt. In terms of the gusts today, you're gusting near 50 miles per hour on the islands. You can see the waves are churned even near shore. So while they're 10 to 15 feet offshore, and you can start to see that outside of the national seashore, they're still going to be big enough coming in, about 7-foot breakers or so at some of our eastern coastlines. Notice your gusts going about 40, 45 when you get to the eastern waters. And then when you come up the coast of Maine, not as strong, right? We're more removed from the storm, but you're still gusting 35, 40 miles per hour when you get to the near shore waters. High temperatures for most of us today are running in the 20s. You do have the wind. Everyone's got at least some amount of wind, and that's why you've got a wind chill that runs right around 10 at the warmest time of the day. It's a chilly Sunday for us. We get into overnight tonight, expect temperatures to be dropping down to the single digits. There is still a breeze, so you'll still be looking at what will be a sub-zero wind chill. Tomorrow there's a breeze coming out of the northwest, but it's not going to be all that strong. You're going to get near 30, which actually isn't bad. So you're going to actually start to do some melting on the driveway if you can get it down to show patches anyway of asphalt. And then we get into Monday night and you do freeze it all up in the single digits again. But I got to tell you, most days this week are probably going to run near 30 or even above the melting point at times in parts of southern New England and 20s in the north. So it's not that bad. The cold starts to let go a little bit. Just a reminder, if you want to support our mission, membership.onedegreeoutside.com. Hope this update helps you out for the second half of your weekend. Of course, we'll have another one to get your week started out. We always take care of you. OneDegreeOutside.com.